Hey there, welcome to your personalized deep dive. Today, we're kind of flipping the script on that whole idea that more is always better. You know, like we always hear more is better.
Right.
But what if we explore this radical idea that doing less might actually be the key to a more effective and fulfilling life?
It's such a fascinating concept, isn't it? And it's not just some new age fad. This idea that you can achieve more by doing less, it's a principle that you find across various disciplines.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Think about it. In art, a sculptor starts with a block of marble and removes material to reveal the masterpiece within.
Wow.
In business, strategic divestment can lead to a more focused and profitable company and in our personal lives. Well, that's what we're going to explore today.
I love it. So we're diving into Leo Babauta's book, The Power of Less, and we're going to be supplementing it with a YouTube summary from the Best Book Bits channel. So are you ready to discover how limiting yourself can actually unlock greater potential?
I mean, it sounds counterintuitive.
Right.
But let's start by unpacking this idea of setting limits. Okay. Imagine you're a chef preparing a gourmet meal. Having every ingredient imaginable at your disposal might seem like a dream come true, but it can quickly become overwhelming.
Yeah.
You might end up with a dish that's muddled and lacks focus.
Oh, so it's like having too many options can actually paralyze us.
Oh,
and hinder our creativity.
exactly. Constraints can be incredibly powerful. Think of a photographer composing a shot through a narrow window frame, that limitation. It forces them to focus on a specific element, often leading to a more striking and memorable image.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does this apply to our daily lives, though?
Well, instead of a pantry overflowing with ingredients, consider your to-do list. How often do you feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks vying for your attention? Emails, meetings, projects, errands. It never seems to end.
Seriously, I feel like my to-do list multiplies overnight.
And that's where the power of less comes in. Babata argues that by setting limits and consciously choosing what to focus on, we can break free from that feeling of overwhelm and actually achieve more. It's not about doing less for the sake of doing less. It's about making intentional choices that align with our goals and values.
Oh, so it's not about being lazy. It's about being strategic.
Exactly. Babata's first principle is all about choosing the essential. And to do that, we need to identify what he calls high-impact tasks, those activities that truly move the needle towards our larger objectives.
Okay, but how do we determine what those high-impact tasks are? It's not always obvious, especially when we're juggling so many responsibilities.
Babata suggests a few methods. One is to examine your current task list and ask yourself some key questions about each item, like, does this task contribute to my long-term goals? What are the consequences of not doing it? Can it be delegated or eliminated altogether? By honestly evaluating each task through this lens, you can start to prioritize those that truly matter.
So it's about being ruthless with our to-do lists and focusing our energy where it will have the most impact.
Precisely. Let's say you're facing a jam-packed day with back-to-back meetings, a looming deadline for a major presentation, and a stack of emails piling up. Which of these activities has the potential to make the biggest difference in your career right now? By identifying that high-impact task and focusing your energy there, you're more likely to achieve significant results.
I've always struggled with saying no to requests, even when I'm already stretched so thin. Maybe this approach can help me be more selective and protect my time for those high-impact activities.
Absolutely. Learning to say no is a crucial skill for anyone looking to embrace the power of less. We'll dive deeper into that later on.
Awesome. Now, I'm curious about Babata's approach to simplifying tasks and processes. Is it just about decluttering our desks and inboxes, or is there more to it?
It's definitely about more than just physical clutter. He uses this brilliant analogy to illustrate this concept. Imagine trying to fit an entire library into a single box. What's going to happen? The box will burst at the seams, and you won't be able to access or enjoy any of the books inside.
Also, are our attempts to cram too much into our lives actually preventing us from fully engaging with anything?
Precisely. It's like that old saying, jack of all trades, master of none. When we try to do too much at once, we spread ourselves thin and ultimately achieve less. By simplifying our systems and processes, we create space for greater clarity, focus, and ultimately, better results.
Okay, so how do we actually go about simplifying things? Where do we even begin?
Babauta suggests looking for areas where complexity is creating unnecessary friction or stress. For example, do you have a multi-step process for managing your email that feels overly complicated? Could you streamline it by creating filters? using templates, or setting specific times for checking messages.
That's a great point.
Oh,
I'm definitely guilty of constantly checking my email throughout the day. Maybe setting designated email times could help me reclaim some focus and reduce those interruptions.
it's definitely worth experimenting with. And this principle of simplification, it extends beyond just our work lives. Think about your household chores, your finances, even your social commitments. Where could you simplify things to create more space and ease?
Okay, my mind is officially blown. I'm starting to see how even small acts of simplification can have a ripple effect across all areas of our lives.
It's a powerful concept, isn't it? And we've only just scratched the surface. Next, we'll explore the power of focus and how single tasking, rather than the glorified multitasking frenzy we often find ourselves in, can actually lead to greater productivity and peace of mind.
All right, let's talk focus. In a world of constant distractions, feels like a superpower. Babata seems to think so too, right?
He absolutely does. And he challenges this whole multitasking myth we've bought into.
Right.
Babata argues that focusing on one thing at a time, single tasking, is far more effective and less stressful than trying to juggle multiple things at once.
I'm trying to even imagine writing this deep dive. And like answering emails and like planning dinner, it makes my head spin. But seriously though, why do we think we're so good at multitasking when all signs point to the contrary?
Well, there's a ton of research out there that shows our brains just aren't wired for effective multitasking. When we try to do too many things at once, we end up making more mistakes, we feel more overwhelmed, and ultimately we're less productive. It's like trying to run a marathon while also playing chess. You might be able to do both, but you won't excel at either.
Okay, so what's the antidote to this multitasking madness?
Babata has a pretty radical suggestion. Instead of trying to cram as much as possible into your day, choose just 3 most important tasks, your MITs, and dedicate focused blocks of time to those.
Okay.
By consciously limiting the number of tasks you're tackling, you allow your brain to fully engage with each one, leading to better quality work and greater peace of mind.
So it's about being intentional with our time and energy, choosing quality over quantity.
Exactly. And to truly make the most of this focused time, minimizing distractions is key. Babauta talks about turning off email notifications, silencing your phone, maybe even disconnecting from the internet entirely if your work allows it. It's about creating an environment that supports deep work and minimizes those constant interruptions that fragment our attention.
I'm just thinking about my workspace. My phone's always buzzing. There are papers everywhere. I can hear my kids playing in the background. It's not exactly a haven for deep work.
We can all relate to that. But even small changes can make a difference. Maybe it's as simple as decluttering your desk, using noise-canceling headphones, or letting your family know you need an hour of uninterrupted time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, let's shift gears a little bit to a topic that always feels daunting to me, creating new habits. It's so easy to start with these great intentions and then fizzle out after a few days. What's Babauda's take on making lasting changes?
Well, he advocates for a really focused approach. With his Power of Less challenge, it's a 30-day commitment to developing one new habit at a time. The idea is that by concentrating all your energy on a single habit change, you're far more likely to succeed than if you try to tackle multiple habits at once.
Okay, so it's about picking one specific habit you want to change and going all in for a month.
Exactly. Let's say you want to start meditating daily. Instead of also trying to cut out sugar and exercise every morning, you focus solely on establishing that meditation practice once it becomes more ingrained. Then you can move on to another habit change. It's about setting yourself up for success by narrowing your focus and making small, sustainable changes.
I love that idea of starting small, but Babauta also dedicates a whole principle to this concept, right?
He does. And he makes a compelling case for the power of starting small to build momentum, conserve energy, and avoid feeling overwhelmed. It's like training for a marathon. You wouldn't start by trying to run 26 miles on day 1. You'd gradually increase your mileage over time, building endurance and confidence along the way.
So it's about breaking down those big, daunting goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Precisely. Think about a goal that feels overwhelming right now. Maybe it's writing a book, learning a new language, or decluttering your entire house instead of focusing on the end result, which can feel miles away. Ask yourself, what's one small action I can take today to move me closer to that goal?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm already feeling more motivated just hearing that. Now, Babauta's book is packed with practical tips for simplifying different areas of our lives. Let's dive into some of those, starting with the one we all love to hate. Email.
The inbox black hole. Babauta's approach to email is all about taking control instead of letting it control you. One of his key suggestions is limiting email checks to just 1-2 times per day.
Wait, seriously? Only check email twice a day? How is that even possible in today's hyper-connected world?
It might sound radical, but think about the amount of time you spend switching back and forth between email and your other tasks. Each time you check a message, it takes you a few minutes to get back into the flow of what you were doing.
Oh, so by limiting email checks, we're actually reclaiming valuable focused work time.
Exactly. And Babata doesn't just tell us to check less. He gives us specific strategies to make it work. He suggests using filters to manage notifications, creating a batch work folder for quick action items, and setting clear email policies to reduce unnecessary messages.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What other digital detox tips does he offer?
Well, he's a big advocate for working offline as much as possible to maximize focus. He actually wrote his entire book without internet access.
Why?
Now, that might not be feasible for everyone, but it highlights the incredible power of disconnecting to achieve deep work.
I can see how that would force you to really focus on the task at hand. But let's be real, for most of us, the internet is essential for our work. So how do we manage those inevitable distractions?
Well, Babata offers some great tips for overcoming internet addiction. He suggests being mindful of those urges to check social media or news websites, setting time limits for online activities, and rewarding focused work sessions with intentional browsing time. It's about creating a healthier relationship with technology, where it serves our goals instead of constantly pulling us away from them.
I'm starting to realize how much control we actually have over our digital environment. It's empowering. Now let's move from the digital world to the physical. What's Babata's take on clutter?
Well, he doesn't just focus on our desks and inboxes. He encourages us to declutter our entire homes. He argues that clutter is more than just an aesthetic issue. It's a form of visual distraction that can negatively impact our focus, productivity, and even our overall well-being. A clean, simple home, on the other hand, creates a sense of calm and order, allowing us to relax and recharge more effectively.
So it's not just about having a tidy house. It's about creating a space that supports our mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly, and it also has practical benefits. Think about the energy it takes to clean a room full of stuff versus a mostly empty room. Less clutter means less cleaning, which frees up time and energy for more enjoyable activities.
I'm sold on the benefits. But the thought of decluttering my entire house just feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
Where do I even begin?
Babata suggests applying the same principles we discussed earlier. Start small, focus on one area at a time, and be ruthless about getting rid of anything that isn't truly essential. He also emphasizes the importance of having a designated place for everything, so that items don't end up scattered throughout the house.
I like the idea of starting small. Maybe I'll tackle that junk drawer in the kitchen that seems to magically refill itself.
That's a great place to start. Remember, decluttering is a process, not a one-time event. It's about making conscious choices about what we truly need and value, and letting go of the rest.
Oh, this is making me rethink my whole approach to possessions. Maybe it's time for a serious purge. Now let's shift gears to a concept that feels particularly relevant in our fast-paced world: slowing down.
Yeah, Babata makes a compelling case for slowing down as a way to counter the frantic pace of modern life and reconnect with ourselves in a world that's constantly pushing us to do more, be more, achieve more. He suggests that slowing down can actually be a path to greater productivity, fulfillment, and well-being.
I can see how constantly rushing from one thing to the next can lead to burnout and a sense of never really being present in the moment.
Exactly. Babata talks about the importance of cultivating what he calls slow attention, the ability to focus on a single task or activity without letting our minds wander to other things. This could be something as simple as savoring each bite of your meal instead of mindlessly scrolling through your phone while you eat, or fully immersing yourself in a conversation with a loved one without checking the clock or thinking about your to-do list.
It sounds idyllic, but also incredibly challenging in our always-on world. How do we actually practice slowing down when there are so many demands on our time and attention?
Babata suggests incorporating mindfulness practices into our daily routines. This could involve meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, or simply taking a few moments each day to focus on our breath and be fully present in our bodies. It's about consciously choosing to slow down and appreciate the simple things, instead of constantly rushing towards the next thing.
I'm starting to see how slowing down isn't about being lazy or unproductive. It's about being intentional with our time and energy, and creating space for those moments of peace and connection that truly nourish us.
Okay, I'm ready to shift from slowing down to maybe speeding up a little, at least when it comes to getting in shape. It's something I've struggled with for years. How does Babata approach health and fitness? Because let's face it, it's an area where most of us could use some simplification.
Oh, he definitely brings his signature simplicity to this area, aiming for a sustainable plan for lifelong health and well-being. And he gets it. He acknowledges those common challenges we all face when trying to improve our fitness and diet. Yeah, you mean like starting with overly ambitious workout routines and then feeling defeated when we don't see results fast enough. And constantly battling those cravings for unhealthy foods. Been there, done that.
He's been there too. And that's precisely why his approach is so refreshing. He emphasizes building sustainable habits, starting small, and gradually increasing the intensity and complexity of your workouts. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, he suggests focusing on establishing the exercise habit first.
So instead of aiming for an hour-long gym session every day, could I just start with a 10-minute walk around the block?
Exactly. Even 5 or 10 minutes of movement each day is a great starting point.
Yeah.
The key is consistency. Once that habit is established, you can gradually increase the duration and intensity of your workouts.
It's like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Makes it feel a lot less daunting, that's for sure.
Right. And once you've got that exercise habit in place, Babata suggests turning your attention to your diet. He's not about deprivation or restrictive diets. It's about making healthy choices most of the time.
So loading up on fruits and vegetables and whole grains and lean protein, and cutting back on processed foods and sugary drinks and unhealthy fats.
That's the gist of it. And he's a big advocate for listening to your body's cues. Eating when you're lightly hungry, not waiting until you're starving, and more likely to make those impulsive, unhealthy choices. It's about creating a healthy, balanced relationship with food that you can sustain for the long haul.
You know, that really resonates with me. I've tried so many different diets over the years, and they always feel so restrictive and unsustainable. I love the idea of focusing on building healthy habits. That becomes second nature.
It's a much more sustainable approach for sure. Now let's talk about something that's essential for achieving any goal, especially when it comes to health and fitness. Motivation.
Motivation. That fickle friend that seems to disappear just when we need it most. How does Babata suggest we stay motivated when those inevitable dips in enthusiasm hit?
He acknowledges that motivation can be a roller coaster, and he is incredibly candid about his own struggles in this area. He emphasizes the importance of starting small, setting just one goal at a time, breaking that goal down into manageable steps, and finding ways to stay excited about the process.
So instead of saying, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, I could start with, I'm going to walk for 15 minutes every day this week.
Exactly, making it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The good old SMART goals approach.
I've heard of SMART goals, but I've never actually applied them to my personal life. Maybe that's the missing piece of the puzzle.
It's definitely worth trying. Now, in addition to setting SMART goals, Babata highlights the power of accountability, whether it's finding a workout buddy, joining a support group, or even publicly sharing your goals and progress. Having that external support can make a huge difference.
I could see how that would help. It's much harder to hit the snooze button when you know someone's waiting for you at the gym.
Right. And it's not just about having someone to hold you accountable. It's about having a cheerleader in your corner, someone who believes in you and celebrates your wins, big or small.
So it's like having a personal trainer for your motivation.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a formal arrangement. It could be a friend, family member, or even an online community. The key is finding that support system that works for you.
Okay. I am feeling seriously inspired to revamp my approach to health and fitness. Babata's philosophy of starting small, building sustainable habits, and focusing on progress over perfection really resonates with me.
It's a powerful approach,
Yeah.
and it can be applied to any area of life where you're looking to make lasting change. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to the central question we started with. Could doing less actually be the key to a richer life?
It's a question that has been swirling in my mind throughout this entire conversation. And honestly, I'm starting to think the answer is a resounding yes. By letting go of the non-essential and focusing on what truly matters, we create space for greater joy, deeper connections, and a sense of purpose that goes beyond simply checking things off our to-do lists.
That's beautifully said. It's about shifting our focus from quantity to quality, from accumulating more possessions, experiences, and achievements, to savoring the ones that truly align with our values and bring us happiness.
So it's not about deprivation. It's about conscious creation, choosing to fill our lives with the things that matter most and letting go of the rest.
Exactly. It's about simplifying our lives so we can truly live them.
Now, as we reach the end of this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. If you could eliminate just one commitment from your life today, what would it be? And what could you do with that newfound time and energy? That's a powerful question, one that I'm sure will spark a lot of reflection for our listeners.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the power of less. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Remember, sometimes less truly is more.